Hello, this is Matthew French from the French Family Farm. Today I want to talk to you about the Farmer's Toolbox. I was thinking the other day that there's quite a few tools I carry with me on a regular basis, and as a free-range farmer who does mob grazing with my sheep and rotational grazing with my hogs and mobile chicken pens for my chickens and mobile pens for my turkeys and mobile pens for my rabbits, there's a lot of things I carry with me on a regular basis. And so I thought I'd share them with you today and maybe be a help to you, give you some ideas about some things maybe you hadn't thought of carrying with you before. So we'll start here on my tailgate where I have them all laid out, and we'll show you what I have. So here I have a couple of hammers I always carry with me. Always. These are two things that are never out of my truck. I have a 16-ounce framing hammer and a claw hammer, and I use these almost daily. Making repairs on pens, for putting posts in the ground. Like we use a tomato stake style post, and I'll drive it in the ground. It has my electric insulators on it for my fencing, and we'll set up our hog paddocks with that. And so sometimes I have to, I use this always to drive those, and then if we have to make repairs or make new posts, I have this with me, and then my insulators as well are in my truck. The only change I would make is I'd like to add a probably about 2-pound short-handled sledge to carry with me so that I can drive those posts a little bit easier. The 16-ounce hammer works, but I think a 2-pound sledge would work really better, a whole lot better. I also carry a Bic Lighter. I don't use it a whole lot, but it is pretty handy to singe the ends of ropes and to burn up brush piles. It's nice to have that with me. I don't have to go hunting for one or go back to the house or remember to carry it with me. I've just always got it with me, and it's small enough I can stick it about anywhere, and I know where it's at and have it with me. I also carry a couple Livestock Sticks. This one is for moving my sheep and my hogs, and it's actually busted right now. We were moving hogs and they didn't want to cross the road, and I got very frustrated. I wish I knew why they wouldn't cross the road. They later crossed it, but they didn't want to. And I got aggravated and threw the stick down, and when I picked it up, it was busted. I couldn't believe it. So they're not indestructible, but they're very handy. I also have this. We call it the Chicken Wrangler. It's got a plastic handle on one end, a metal rod, and then on the end of that rod they have put a hook. And you can see there's a feather on it. We just moved some chickens, so it's pretty handy for grabbing chickens above the knee. Grab them just right above the knee joint, and they cannot seem to get away from you. It also works on the foot, but the knee joint works a lot better. They can sometimes get that foot loose. I also carry some hardware with me. This one is some staples. These are, I believe, actually designed for high tensile wire, and I use them on my chicken pens for attaching chicken wire to my chicken pens. So I carry those with me all the time. That way if there's something tore loose, or if I need to totally replace something. Earlier this year we had some bear that were causing problems, so we used these to attach the wire back to the pins after they destroyed it, after that one destroyed it. I also carry roofing tacks, various sizes of roofing tacks. Those are handy for putting my top back on. Now, if you do the chicken pens, you may use something different, but we use a vinyl top, and it works really well, and these roof tacks hold it down very well. I also carry rope, different sizes, different lengths. This type of rope here I would use for pulling stuff, so I'll use it. It's a pretty heavy rope. I got it off of a construction site I worked on once. They were throwing it away, and so I grabbed it. I also use this. Keep this size rope. I think if I remember right, it's a 1/4 inch rope, and I'll use it for hog tying animals usually, or leading animals for a lead. So the other day I had a problem with a sheep, and I hog tied her with it. So, and when we work on hogs, we'll hog tie them. So that I keep that rope with me. I also keep a livestock weight tape with me, and I use that mostly on my hogs, but it can be used on my sheep. It's designed really for cattle, but it has a has 1-inch increments on one side of it. There it is. And you can actually use that to measure, and then use a calculator to calculate estimated weight of your livestock. I carry wedges. Now, wedges are something also I don't like being without, and the reason is in our mobile pens we have gravity-fed feeders and waters, and the waters are what these are used for. The water has to be perfectly level, and I'll swing around here. If you can tell that pen is on a slope, and so I have to level the waterers up to make sure that they stay good and level, so that they don't leak out and I end up with chickens with no water in the middle of the afternoon. So those are very, very handy for us. Traps. I know how some folks feel about traps and trapping, but just to be honest, there's just sometimes you don't have a lot of choice. I'm not the greatest trapper, so most folks don't have to worry about it. These traps look rough. They haven't been dipped or cleaned, and they need to be cleaned and dipped, and the rust gotten off of them, so they don't look good. But I carry these in my toolbox on my truck, along with some coyote urine. And I got this from Murray's Trapping out of West Virginia, and I believe I also got the traps from them. They were at a trapping convention here in our county, and that's where I picked these up. These are, this bigger one, which is primarily used for coyotes, is a number 3 Duke, and I've been very pleased with them. They're made in Korea, but they're very good trap, it seems to be. I also carry toilet paper. Now it looks rough. It's been in my toolbox, and I'll peel off that rough layer and use it, but not something to think about, but it's nice to have toilet paper with you when you're out in the field. You don't have to run back to the house to go to the bathroom, so I carry that with me all the time. I also carry a couple different types of fence wire for my electric fencing. I like the vinyl, or not the vinyl, the poly wire, and I also carry the aluminum, and I don't use the aluminum as much, but there's been times when I have to use it. It seems to get a little bit better shock to the animal, a little bit better, does a better job of it. The poly has, of course, all kinds of strands in it of aluminum wire, and I just think there's sometimes that this solid aluminum wire just really works a little bit better. I also carry a machete with me, and I got thinking about it here recently, and I'm thinking about actually switching to a hatchet, but the machete's, it's kind of handy to have with me to cut down brush and small saplings that are starting to grow up on the edge of my field, so I keep the tree line back. So it's pretty handy to keep with me. I've had a few trees that have some low-hanging limbs, and I'll have to cut them out, and I've done it with this. But a hatchet really works better for the limbs than a machete does. Even though this one has a saw blade on it, that saw blade is okay. So I primarily use that for just cutting brush and weeds and stuff like that out of my fields. I always carry a pair of Carhartt overalls with me, especially in fall and winter. It gets kind of muddy, and especially if you're feeding hogs. I like to move our hogs into a garden lot in the fall and let them work it down, and so it gets muddy in there, and it's nice to have that. And I always carry rubber boots, always, and I don't have my rubber boots today. I couldn't believe it when I was looking for them, but I don't have my rubber boots. So that's a few of the things that we carry with us, and on a regular basis. There's probably other things I carry and I just didn't think about that are handy to keep with me. So let me ask you, are there things that you like to carry with you that maybe I didn't have on here? Another one I just thought of, off the blue, my Leatherman. I always have a Leatherman Multi-Tool with me, and it is on my side at all times, and probably the most used tool I carry. I didn't even have it out for you, but a Leatherman is a very handy one. So are there any others? Did I leave something out? Or do I have something on here that you would probably not carry with you? I'd love to hear what you have to say. You can leave a comment in the comments, and I hope you'll like our videos and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you. This is Matthew French again from the French Family Farm.